Hey there, Neutron Tech crew. Yang Bushcraft is taking on something incredible in this episode. 5 jungle shelters, each one hidden away from the world. She starts by prepping the ground until it's flat and ready to work with, then moves on to building the entryway. Think of this door as the boundary line. On one side, there's the protected cave space where you can actually relax, and on the other, everything outside. Stone brings the muscle. It's tough, handles weight like a champ, and won't catch fire. Clay is the glue that makes it all stick, squeezing into every little gap and hardening into a solid seal. The stove gets positioned right outside the entrance instead of inside, which keeps smoke from filling up the sleeping area. Whether you're looking at Aboriginal camps, Nordic setups, or traditional Asian shelters, you'll notice fire usually sits just beyond where people sleep, close enough for heat and light, but positioned smart. The roof she's framing follows that classic triangle shape, 2 long beams running across with angled supports connecting them. She's going with bamboo because it's everywhere, doesn't weigh much, naturally sheds water, and has that slick coating on the outside. The bamboo door she's putting together works really well and fits the whole vibe of the shelter. Those spaces between the bamboo pieces let air move through while still giving privacy and keeping out critters and weather. Yang's laying down a floor that's both sturdy and good-looking. These wooden rounds can take people walking on them, and since wood has some give, they're quieter and easier on your feet than stone would be. The shelter's almost wrapped up, and she's finishing off a slanted bamboo roof that's lashed tight to the wooden frame underneath. The way it angles down with bamboo pieces layered over each other works exactly like roofing tiles. Water hits it and runs right off. She's basically tucked this shelter into the rock itself, which means she didn't have to mess with building interior walls or adding extra supports for the ceiling. That cuts down on the work and materials big time. Plus, it makes the whole thing look like it grew there naturally. Getting the second shelter started means stripping away all the plants and loose earth first. What you're left with is hard-packed ground that becomes your floor, solid underfoot, and naturally keeps some heat in. Lifting everything up and away from wet ground is smart survival thinking. Moisture can't creep in as easily, wood lasts longer, and bugs have a harder time setting up camp underneath. There's real geometry at work here. Triangles don't collapse easily, and when you build an A-frame, the weight gets spread out evenly while wind just slides off instead of pushing things over. When you're dealing with thick jungle air that's always damp, boxing yourself in completely is a mistake. You'll just be sitting in a hot, wet box. Keeping those sidewalls mostly open lets air move through naturally. She's nailing and folding the tarp instead of permanently attaching it, which means she can take it off, patch it up, or move it around later. The downside? A single tarp doing all that work might not hold up forever, especially if wind gets underneath the loose edges. And those open sides mean less privacy and less protection when weather turns nasty or temperatures drop. Next up is tackling one of survival's biggest priorities, getting water where you need it. Split bamboo has been moving water around for ages because it just works. Once the bamboo's prepped, she digs out a small pit to reach the water that's collecting underground. This water hasn't been purified or heated, so drinking it straight is off the table. What she's built here turns a spot where water sits around into something that actually delivers it where it's useful. The whole thing shows real technical know-how and planning. Someone who thinks about making things efficient, staying self-sufficient, and working with what nature provides. It's a goldmine of resources. Stones everywhere you look, clear sightlines in all directions, and plenty of water, plus forest materials within easy reach. Bamboo's hollow tube construction makes it surprisingly strong without being heavy. Green bamboo bends without breaking, and she takes full advantage of this quality to shape both the bottom and top curved supports. The doorway has clean, intentional edges that echo the curved window shape. Long bamboo poles shoot out from the walls and meet at a central peak, creating a spoke-like roof that spreads the load evenly across the structure. She layers them so each row overlaps the one beneath it, basically creating a shingle effect that guides water down and away from the interior. For hundreds of years across Southeast Asia, bamboo has been the go-to building material because it grows everywhere. Flat stones laid across the floor solve several problems at once. They create a stable, raised surface that won't absorb moisture and holds up underfoot traffic. Since this area could flood or see heavy runoff, she builds a short barrier wall as insurance. She mixes flat riverbed stones with clay, just like in the first build. The combination of that stone wall and functional stove transforms this bamboo hut from something temporary into an actual place to live. She works the bamboo into thin strips, splitting and shaping them carefully to build the basic structure of a handmade fish trap. The design is clever. Fish swim in easily, but struggle to find their way back out. And it works. She pulls out what look like Asian swamp eels. These things are tough. They can handle murky, oxygen-poor water and will burrow right into the riverbed mud when they need to. When you look at the dirt she's uncovered, you can see the darker, nutrient-packed topsoil sitting above a denser clay layer underneath. Making it out here takes way more than just being tough. You need to read the environment, track when seasons shift, know which animals pass through, recognize which trees will keep the rain off your head, and always know where water is. Yang transforms the trunk into planks and beams, making sure everything comes out consistent. You can see she knows her way around these tools. There's a real understanding of how wood behaves. She sets up her workspace right there on the ground, prepping everything for assembly. Stripping off the bark isn't just for looks, it stops moisture from getting trapped and keeps bugs from moving in. The joints she's making will lock the logs together at corners and wherever beams cross in the frame. That's how you get something solid enough to handle rough weather. Working by hand means she gets to decide exactly how tight everything fits, and the fact that she's using what's already around her. This is the kind of thing people figured out hundreds of years ago, back when you couldn't just run to a hardware store. She's basically letting the wood hold itself together through friction and pressure. No hardware required, just pieces fitted so well they can't move. Wooden wedges hammered into the joints make everything stronger and better at handling earthquakes. Adding horizontal beams between the upright posts keeps the whole thing from wobbling or twisting. You see this same idea in old Japanese and Chinese timber construction. It works. When you're building with limited supplies, this method makes the most sense. Once the roof beams are angled from the top down to the vertical post, they work as a team to handle weight, wind, and ground movement, all stuff you deal with in the mountains. Lifting and fitting those beams herself means she can adjust them until they're snug, even without power tools. It might look simple, but this setup reflects generations of knowledge about managing heavy rainfall. Those stones under the wooden posts keep them off the dirt, which prevents rotting and keeps termites away. The base relies entirely on fitted joints, but you'll notice nails show up as she builds upward. Old-school techniques handle the foundation. Modern fasteners add strength where it counts. Now she's switching to bamboo to create a support layer that'll hold whatever roofing material comes next. This building component does serious work. It's engineered to bear loads from multiple directions when installed properly. Workers precisely measure and cut these slats before securing them to the wooden framework above. While others default to factory-made components and electric machinery, Yang's methods remind us what's possible with ingenuity and environmentally conscious choices. These days, with more people exploring self-sufficient lifestyles, environmental responsibility, and backcountry skills, simple dwellings have evolved into powerful statements about freedom, earth-friendly values, and living with less. Every structure represents that ancient human drive to build a safe place, no matter how remote the location. Out in Vietnam's backcountry, you'll find homes perched on posts, a smart defense against seasonal floods, serpents, and crawling pests. Building these structures happens through collective effort, relying on manual tools and whatever grows nearby, primarily bamboo and timber. The technique involves compressing and fastening the plant material tightly to withstand heavy weather. Workers install these bundles starting at the bottom, each layer overlapping the one beneath, so the upper sections lock the lower ones down. Because the thatch sits snugly against the roof slats with minimal gaps, wind can't work its way beneath to cause damage. Despite using only organic materials, properly built thatched roofing proves remarkably tough. Every plank, after getting fitted properly, contributes to heat retention and livability, establishing a barrier between inside and outside. A shelter becomes your operational headquarters for everything else, preparing food, crafting equipment, recovering your strength, or staying safe from dangerous wildlife. The first two structures stayed small, working with whatever the landscape already provided. But this third one, it stepped up the game entirely, demanding serious muscle and careful planning. The construction kicks off by finding a flat clearing deep in the woods where thick plants grow everywhere, creating built-in shade and a natural barrier. Just like with earlier stone structures, a clay mixture does double duty. Slowly but surely, the short wall takes shape in an oval pattern. By skipping harsh angles, you dodge the risk of cracks forming or the whole thing giving out. Round forms also handle wind force way better from an engineering standpoint. Throughout rural Vietnam and surrounding indigenous communities, you'll find homes with softened corners or completely round floor plans. Choices rooted in spiritual beliefs, practical adaptation, and community values. This horizontal beam rests on the stones framing both sides of the door opening, creating the upper boundary of the entryway. Think of the log as a spanning element that catches the weight of the heavy rocks stacked on top and redirects that force outward to the supporting sides. Back at the initial shelter, she used this identical roof approach when extending the cave's habitable zone outward. This covering method stays light and simple, yet performs incredibly well in tropical jungle settings. That clay coating adds heft too, pressing down on the bamboo layers underneath and locking them firmly in position. Between the squat stone perimeter, the plain balanced roof, and the modest overall scale, structures like these once served as spots for solo contemplation, quiet devotion, or safeguarding holy objects. Across Buddhist regions today, you'll still come across simple altars or small temple structures nestled beside trails cutting through the forest. Taking time to rest isn't just nice, it's necessary. Your body heals, your brain gets a break, and you actually get to relax and do things you enjoy. There's always tomorrow to pick up where you left off. She's putting together a wooden bench right beside the shelter, and it's more practical than you might think. Bushcraft usually gets painted as a solo survival thing, but her style feels different, more generous, almost. The shelters she makes seem like gifts left behind for whoever might need them next. Looking at all 5 of Yang Bushcraft's shelters together, you see real growth. Her skills sharpen, her ideas get bolder, and she adapts to whatever's around her. She works with what each location offers, building something solid that matches the terrain. This groundwork creates a clean space you can walk on without slipping around. It stops erosion from eating away at the site, keeps mud from building up when it rains, and helps water drain properly. Make sure to visit Yang Bushcraft's channel if you haven't already. Her love for survival skills, camping, and building things in the wild comes through in every project. Doesn't matter if you're experienced or just interested, there's tons to learn and plenty to inspire you. The wall holds the soil in place so rain doesn't wash it away or cause everything to slide downhill. It doubles as a windshield too, keeping fire flames consistent and smoke from blowing everywhere. Plus, it makes hanging out more pleasant. The water flows straight to a washing and bathing spot she's designated near the stone shelter. For the channels, she uses banana tree stems. They're naturally hollow inside and resist water well. Unlike bamboo, they're not woody. They're softer, heavier, and made of compressed leaf layers. What she ends up with is a straightforward but effective water delivery system that proves she knows how to work with her surroundings. It's not just clever engineering, it shows real care for the environment, since she's using materials that renew themselves and leave no permanent damage. Thanks so much for watching, catch you in the next one. Hit subscribe to see more projects and survival adventures like this.